This is Homer's Iliad, translated into English by Robert Fitzgerald. Book 14. Now Nestor heard that tumult while he drank, but finished drinking. Then he turned and said to Asclepius' son, "Consider now, Machaon, what had best be done here. Battle cries of young fighters are louder near the ships. As for yourself, be easy, drink my wine, till Hecamede has a cauldron warmed and bathes your clotted blood away. For my part, I'll go outside and find a lookout point." He picked up in the hut a shield that lay there, all aglow with bronze, one that belonged to a son of his, the horseman Thrasymedes, who bore that day his father's shield. Then Nestor chose a burly new whetted spear, and stepping out he saw that grim day's work. Achaeans driven back at bay, elated Trojans pressing on, the wall torn down. As when the open ocean rises in a leaden smooth ground swell, forerunner of high winds. A rocking swell, directionless, that neither rolls nor breaks until the blow comes on from Zeus. Just so the old man pondered with divided mind whether to turn toward the Danaan mass or find and join Lord Marshal Agamemnon. Then he decided it seemed best to him to join the son of Atreus. In the line, soldiers meanwhile fought on to strip each other, metal upon their bodies clanging loud with sword blows and the double-bladed spears. But now to Nestor's side the princes came along the shipways, those who had been hit. Diomedes, Odysseus, Agamemnon, leaving the rear where, distant from the fighting, ships were beached along the wash of surf. Higher inland were those first dragged ashore, around whose sterns the wall was built. In rows they kept the ships drawn up, even that wide shore could not contain the fleet in one long line. They hauled them up, therefore, wave after wave, and filled the beach between two promontories. Now headed inland, eyes upon the melee, the princes came that way, leaning on spears, with aching hearts. And the advent of Nestor gave their hearts a new twinge. Agamemnon hailed him, saying, "Nestor, son of Neleus, pride of Achaeans, why turn this way seaward, away from the battle danger? Now I fear their champion Hector will make good his word, the threat he made in his harangue to Trojans, not to return to Ilion from the beachhead until he fired our ships and killed our men. So he proclaimed. Now it is coming true. My God, it seems the rest of the Achaeans, like Archelaus, hold a grudge against me. They have no will to fight to save the ships." Lord Nestor of Gerenia replied, "What you describe is all too clear. High thundering Zeus himself could not now otherwise dispose the fight. Those walls are overthrown, we put our trust in as impregnable, a bulwark for the ships and for ourselves. The enemy have brought the battle down hard on the ships. You could not, if you tried, make out whether from left or right our troops are harried most and thrown into confusion. Men go down on every hand, their death cries rise in air. We must think what to do, if any good can be achieved by thinking. I do not say that we should enter combat. Hurt men cannot fight." And the Lord Marshal Agamemnon said, "Since now they press the fight around the ship's sterns, neither wall nor moat made any difference, though painful labor built them, and Danaans dearly hoped they'd make a shield to save our ships and men. This must be somehow satisfactory to the high mind of Zeus, that far from Argos, Achaeans, perish here without a name. I knew it when he favored us and saved us. I know it now when he glorifies our enemies, treating them like gods. He tied our hands. He took the heart out of us. Come, everyone, do as I say. Haul down the line of ships nearest the sea to launch on the bright breakers. Moor them afloat till starry night comes on and Trojans break off battle. Under cover of darkness we may launch the rest. There's no disgrace in getting away from ruin, not by a night retirement. Better a man should leave the worst behind him than be caught. Odysseus, the great tactician, frowned and looked at him and answered, Son of Atreus, what kind of talk is this? Hell's misery. I'd put you in command of some disordered rabble, not an army strong as our own. Our lot from youth to age was given us by Zeus. Danger and war to wind upon the spindle of our years until we die to the last man. Would you then quit and abandon forever the fine town of Troy that we have fought for all these years, taking our losses? Quiet, or some other Achaeans may get wind of this. No man who knew what judgment is in speech could ever allow that thought to pass his lips. No man who bore a staff, whom army cords obey, as Argives owe obedience to you. Contempt, no less, is what I feel for you, after the sneaking thing that you proposed. While the two armies are in desperate combat, haul our ships into the sea? You give the Trojans one more thing to glory over, and they are winning out. God knows already. As for ourselves, sheer ruin is what it means. While our long ships are hauled down, will the soldiers hold the line? Will they not look seaward and lose their appetite for battle? There, commander, is your way to wreck us all. Lord Marshal Agamemnon answered him, You hit hard, and the blow comes home, Odysseus. Let it be clear that I would not urge the troops to launch against their will and yours, not I. Whoever has a better plan should speak, young man or old. I would be glad to hear it. Now Diomedes of the great war cry spoke up. Here's one. No need to go afield for it. If you are willing to be swayed and are not irritated with me, the youngest here, I too can claim a brave and noble father, Tydeus, whom funeral earth at Thebes has mounded over. To Portaus 3 excellent sons were born, who lived in Pleuron and in Calydon, Agrios, Melas, and the horseman Oeneus, bravest of all, and my father of my father. Oeneus remained there, while my wandering father settled in Argos. It was the will of Zeus and of the other gods. He took Adrestus' daughter as bride, and founded a great house. Grain lands enough he owned, and he owned orchards thick with trees, and herds and flocks aplenty. Beyond that, he was the best of all Achaeans in handling a spear. You must have heard this and know the truth of it. My lineage, therefore, is noble. If what I say is well said, you may not disregard it. Let us go this way to battle, wounded as we are. We have no choice. There, in the field, we may keep clear of missiles, not to be hit again, but put heart in the rest. Just as before, they save themselves and shirk the fight. To this, the others listening hard gave their assent. They turned, and Agamemnon led them forward. This was not lost on the god who shakes the earth, who now appeared as an old man and walked beside them, taking Agamemnon's hand, saying to him in a clear voice rapidly, Son of Atreus, think how the fierce heart must sing now in Archelaus' breast to see the slaughter and rout of the Achaeans. Compassion is not in him. Let him rot, then. Some god crush him. But the gods in bliss are not unalterably enraged with you. Somehow the hour will come when Trojan captains make the wide plain smoke with dust, in chariots racing from camp and ships back to the city. Launching himself upon the field of war, he broke into a shout 9,000 or 10,000 men who yelled in battle might have made, meeting in shock of combat. From his lungs, the powerful earth shaker sent aloft a cry like that. In every Achaean heart, he put the nerve to fight and not be broken. Now Lady Hera of the golden chair had turned her eyes upon the war. She stood apart from a snow crest of Olympus, and recognized her brother-in-law, her brother, striving in battle, breathing hard, a sight that pleased her. Then she looked at Zeus, who rested high on the ridge of Ida, bright with springs, and found him odious. Her leadership of the wide eyes took thought how to distract her lord who bears the storm cloud. Her best plan, she thought, was this: to scent and adorn herself and visit Ida, hoping hot desire might rise in him, desire to lie with her and make love to her nakedness, that so she might infuse warm slumber on his eyes and over his shrewd heart. She entered then the chamber built for her by her own son Hephaestus, who had fitted door to doorpost using a secret bolt no god could force. These shining doors the goddess closed behind her, and with ambrosia cleansed all stain away from her delectable skin. Then with fine oil she smoothed herself, and this, her scented oil, unstoppered in the bronze-floored house of Zeus, cast fragrance over earth and heaven. Hera, having anointed all her graceful body, and having combed her hair, plaited it shining in braids from her immortal head. That done, she chose a wondrous gown, worked by Athena, in downy linen with embroideries. She caught this at her breast with golden pins, and girt it with a waistband, sewn all around with 100 tassels. Then she hung mulberry-colored pendants in her earlobes, and loveliness shone around her. A new headdress, white as the sun, she took to veil her glory, and on her smooth feet tied her beautiful sandals. Exquisite and adorned from head to foot, she left her chamber. Beckoning Aphrodite, she spoke to her apart from all the rest. Will you give heed to me, and do as I say, and not be difficult, even though you are vexed that I give aid and comfort to Danaans as you do to Trojans? Aphrodite, daughter of Zeus, replied, Hera, most honored of goddesses, being Cronus' own daughter, say what you have in mind. I am disposed to do it if I can, if it's a thing that one may do. And Lady Hera, deep in her beguilement, answered, Lend me longing, lend me desire, by which you bring immortals low, as you do mortal men. I am on my way to kind earth's bourne to see Okeanos, from whom the gods arose, and Mother Tethys. In their great hall they nurtured me, their gift from Rhea, when Lord Zeus of the wide gaze put Cronos down deep under earth and sea. I go to see them and compose their quarrel. Strange, so long they have not once made love since anger came between them. Could I coax them into their bed to give and take delight, I should be prized and dear to them forever. Aphrodite, lover of smiling eyes, replied to her, It is not possible and not expedient either to deny you, who go to lie in the great arms of Zeus. Now she unfastened from round her breast a pierced brocaded girdle. Her enchantments came from this, allurement of the eyes, hunger of longing, and the touch of lips that steals all wisdom from the coolest men. This she bestowed in Hera's hands, and murmured, Take this girdle, keep it in your breast. Here are all the suavities and charms of love. I do not think you will be ineffective in what you plan. Then wide-eyed Hera smiled, and smiling put the talisman in her breast. Aphrodite entered her father's house, but Hera glided from Olympus, passing Pieria and cherished Amathia, flashing above the snowy crested hills of Thracian horsemen. Never touching down, she turned from Athos over the sea waves to Lemnos, to the stronghold of old Thoas. Here she fell in with Sleep, brother of Death, and took his hand and held it, saying warmly, Sleep, sovereign of gods and all mankind, if ever you gave heed to me before, comply again this time, and all my days I shall know well I am beholden. Lull to sleep for me the shining eyes of Zeus as soon as I lie down with him in love. Then I shall make a gift to you, a noble golden eternal chair. My bandy-legged son Hephaestus by his craft will make it, and fit it with a low footrest where you may place your feet while taking wine. But mild sweet sleep replied, Most venerable goddess, daughter of Cronos, great of old, among the gods who never die, I might easily lull another to sleep, yes, even the ebb and flow of cold Oceanus, the primal source of all that lives. But Zeus, the son of Cronos? No, not I. I could not venture near him, much less lull him, unless by his command. One other time you taught me something, giving me a mission, when Heracles, the prodigious son of Zeus, had plundered Iliad and come away. That day indeed I cast my spell on the father's heart. I drifted dim about him, while you prepared rough sailing for the hero. In the open sea you stirred it was a gale that drove Heracles on Kos Island, far from friends. Well, then Zeus, he woke up, and fell into a fury, and hurled the gods about his hall in quest of me of all. Out of heaven's air into deep sea to be invisible forever he would have plunged me, had not night preserved me, all subduing night, mistress of gods and men. I fled to her, and he for all his rage drew back, for fear of doing a displeasure to swift night. A second time you asked me to perform something I may not. But to this she answered, Why must you dwell on that unhappy day? Can you believe that Zeus, who views the wide world, will be as furious in defense of Trojans as for his own son, Heracles? No, come, I should add, my gift to you will be one of the younger graces for a mistress, ever to be called yours. In eager pleasure, Sleep said, Swear by Styx, corroding water. Place one hand on earth, grassland of herds, and dip your other hand in dazzling sea. All gods with Cronos in the abyss attest that I shall marry one of the younger graces, Pasithea, the one I have desired all my living days. Without demur, Hera, whose arms shone white as ivory, took oath as he demanded. Each by name she called on all the powers of the abyss, on all the Titans. Then, when she had sworn, these two departed in the air from Lemnos, putting on veils of cloud track, lightly running toward Ida, mother of beasts and bright with springs. At Lecton promontory, from the sea, they veered inland and upland. At their passage, treetops were in commotion underfoot. But Sleep soon halted and remained behind before he came in range of Zeus's eyes. He mounted a tall pine, the tallest one on Ida, grown through mist to pierce the sky. Amid the evergreen boughs he hid and clung, and seemed that mountain thrush of the clear tone, called Calchas by the gods, by men Cymindis. Hera swept on to Gargaron, Ida's crest, and there Zeus, lord of clouds, saw her arrive. He gazed at her, and as he gazed, desire veiled his mind like mist, as in those days when they had first slipped from their parents' eyes, to bed to mingle by the hour in love. He stood before her now and said, What brings you down from Olympus to this place? The chariot you ride is not in sight. The lady Hera answered him in guile, I go my way to the bourne of earth, to see Oceanus, from whom the gods arose, and mother Tethys. In their distant hall they nourished me and cared for me in childhood. Now I must see them and compose their strife. They live apart from one another's bed, estranged so long since anger came between them. As for my team, it stands at Ida's base, ready to take me over earth and sea. On your accounts, I came to see you first, so that you will not rage at me for going in secret where Oceanus runs deep. The Lord of Cloud replied, But you may go there later, Hera. Come, lie down. We two must give ourselves to love-making. Desire for girl or goddess in so wild a flood never came over me. Not for Ixion's bride, who bore that peerless man, Pirithous, or Danae with her delicious legs, illustrious Perseus' mother, or Europa, daughter of Phoenix, world-renowned, who bore me Minos and magnificent Rhadamanthus. Semele or Alcmene, Theban ladies, who bore the rugged hero Heracles, the other Dionysos, joy of men, or Demeter, the queen, in her blonde braids, or splendid Leto, or yourself. No lust as sweet as this for you has ever taken me. To this the lady Hera, in her guile, replied, Most formidable son of Cronos, how impetuous! Would you lie down here, on Ida's crest, for all the world to see? Suppose one of the gods, who never die, perceived us here asleep, and took the story to all the rest. I could not bear to walk directly from this love-bed to your hall. 'Twould be so embarrassing. But if you must, if this is what you wish, and near your heart, there is my own bedchamber. Your dear son Hephaestus built it, and he fitted well the solid door and door jamb. We should go to lie down there, since bed is now your pleasure. But the Lord Marshal of Stormcloud said, No fear, this act will be observed by god or man. I shall enshroud us in such golden cloud, not even Helios could glimpse us through it, and his hot ray is finest at discerning. At this he took his wife in his embrace, and under them earth flowered delicate grass and clover wet with dew. Then crocuses and solid beds of tender hyacinth came crowding upward from the ground. On these the two lay down and drew around them purest vapor of golden cloud. Then droplets fell away in sunlight sparkling. Soon the father, subjugated by love and sleep, lay still. Still as a stone on Gargaron height he lay and slumbered with his lady in his arms. The god of sleep went gliding to the beach-head, bearing word to the god who shakes the earth. He halted at his side and swiftly said, Well, warm to your work now, comfort the Danaans, even award them glory in the fight, for a while at any rate. While Zeus is sleeping, now I've wrapped him in the night of sleep. Hera beguiled him into making love. And he was gone into far lands of fame when he had stirred Poseidon to fight harder. The god now gained the line in a single bound and called out, Argives, shall we yield to Hector once again, and let them take the ships? Let him win glory. He would have it so because Archelaus lingers by his ships, anger in his heart. Well, that great man need not be missed too badly if the rest of us rally each other to defend ourselves. Come, every man, and act on what I say. The army's best and biggest body shields are those that we should wear, our heads encased in helms that flash on every side, our hands upon the longest spears, and then attack. I will myself go first, my life upon it. Hector, for all his valor, cannot hold us. Any fresh man who bears against his shoulder a light shield, give it now to a tired fighter, and slip his own arm in a heavier one. The attentive soldiers acted on his words, while Diomedes, Odysseus, and Agamemnon, wounded as they were, kept all in order. Down the ranks they made exchange of gear, good gear to good men, poor to the inferior, and when hard bronze was fitted to their bodies, all moved out. Poseidon took the lead, in his right fist a blade fine-edged as lightning, that mortals may not parry in grievous war, for blinding fear makes men stand back from it. Hector drew up the Trojan lines opposing, and now the blue-maned god of sea and Hector brought to a dreadful pitch the clash of war, one giving heart to Trojans, one to Argives. Waves of the sea ran berserk toward the Argive huts and ships as the two armies closed with a great cry. No surge from open sea, whipped by a norther, buffets down on land with such a roar, nor does a forest fire in a mountain valley, blazing up through woods, nor storm wind in the towering boughs of oaks, when at its height it rages, makes a roar as great as this, when Trojans and Achaeans hurled themselves at one another. Hector drove at Aias first with his great spear, as Aias had swung round at him. He hit him at that point where two belts crossed on his chest, one for his shield, one for his studded sword, and both together saved his skin. Enraged because the missile left his hand in vain, Hector fell back in ranks away from danger, but as he drew away, Telamonian Aias picked up one of the wedging stones for ships, rolled out there many at the fighter's feet, and smote him in the chest above the shield rim near his throat. The impact spun him round, reeling like a spent top. As an oak tree under the stroke of Father Zeus goes down, root and branch and deadly fumes of brimstone rise from it, and no man's courage keeps him facing it if he sees it, Zeus's bolt being rough indeed, so all Hector's elan now dropped in dust. He flung his spear, his shield and helm sank down with him, his blazoned armor clanged about him. Yelling Achaean soldiers ran toward him, hoping to drag him off, and they made play with clumps of spears, but none could wound or hit the marshal of the Trojans, being forestalled by the Trojan peers Aeneas, Polydamas, and Agenor, Sarpedon, chief of Lycians, and Glaucus. None of the rest neglected him, but over him all held up their round shields. Fellow soldiers lifted him in their arms to bear him off out of the grind of battle to his horses. These were waiting in the battle's rear with painted chariot and driver. Now toward Troy they carried Hector, hoarsely groaning. Reaching the ford of Xanthos, the clear stream of eddying water that immortal Zeus had fathered, from the car they laid him down on the river bank and splashed cool water on him. Taking a deep breath, opening his eyes wide, he got to his knees and spat dark blood, then backwards sank again as black night hooded him, stunned still by the hurled stone. But the Argives, seeing Hector leave the field, were swift to step up their attacks upon the Trojans, taking new joy in battle. Out in front, the runner Aias, son of Oileus, lunged and wounded Satnios Enopides, whom by the banks of Satnois river a flawless naiad bore the herdsman Enops. This Satnios, the famous son of Oileus, coming in fast, speared in the flank. He tumbled, and then around him Trojans and Danaans clashed in bitter combat. Polydamas took the lead, shaking his spear to guard him, and struck Arialycos' son, Prothoenor, square in the right shoulder, his big spear passing through. Into the dust he fell and clutched at earth with his spread hand. Then Polydamas gloried, shouting high, "By God, this time the spear shaft from the hand of Panthous' son leapt out to some effect. One of the Argives caught it in his flesh. I can see him now using it for a crutch as he stumps to the house of death." His boasting brought anguish to Argives, most of all to Aias, veteran son of Telamon. Beside him the dying man fell. Now with his shining spear he thrust at the withdrawing enemy, but he, Polydamas, with a sidewise leap avoided that dark fate. Another got it, Archelochos, for the gods had planned his ruin. Just at the juncture of his neck and skull the blow fell on his topmost vertebra and cut both tendons through. Head, mouth, and nostrils hit the earth before his shins and knees. Now Aias, in his turn, to Polydamas, shouted, "Think now, Polydamas, tell me truly if this man was not worthy to be killed. For Prothoenor, as he seemed to me, no coward, nor of coward's kind, but brother to Lord Antenor, master of horse, or else his son, for he was very nearly like him." He said this, knowing the answer well, and pain seized Trojan hearts. Standing above his brother, Acamas brought down Promachus, a Boeotian, as he was tugging at the dead man's feet. Then gloating over him with a wild cry, Acamas said, "You Argive arrow boys, gritty for the sound of your own voices, hardship and grief will not be ours alone. You'll be cut down as he was. Only think, the way your Promachus has gone to sleep after my spear downed him, and no delay in the penalty for my brother's death. See why a soldier prays that a kinsman's left at home will fight for him. At this taunt, and this taunt hurt the Argives. Most of all, it angered Peneleus, and he attacked Acamas, who retired before his charge. Peneleus instead brought down Ilioneus, a son of Phorbas, the sheepherder, whom of all Trojans Hermes favored most and honored with possessions, although Ilioneus's mother bore the man, that son alone. Peneleus drove his spearhead into the eye socket underneath the brow, thrusting the eyeball out. The spearhead ran straight through the socket and the skull behind, and throwing out both hands he sat down backward. Peneleus, drawing his long sword, chopped through the nape and set the severed helmeted head and trunk apart upon the field. The spear remained in the eye socket. Lifting up the head by it as one would lift a poppy, he cried out to the Trojans, gloating grimly, "Go tell Ilioneus' father and his mother for me, Trojans, to mourn him in their hall. The wife of Promachus, Eleagenor's son, will not be gladdened by her husband's step, that day when we Achaeans made home port in the ships from Troy." The knees of all the Trojans were shaken by a trembling as each one looked for a way to escape breathtaking death. Muses, in your bright Olympian halls, tell me now what Achaean most excelled in winning blood-stained spoils of war, when the earth-shaker bent the battle line. Aias Telamonios cut down the Mysian leader Hirtios Girtiades. Antilochos killed Mermeros and Phloukes, Meriones Morris and Hopotion, Teokros, Prothoon, and Periphetes. After that Menelaus hit Hipperenor's flank, and the spearhead spilt his guts like water. By the wound slit as by a doorway, life left him in haste, and darkness closed his eyes. But Aias, the swift runner, son of Oileus, killed more than any. None could chase as he could a soldier panicked in that god-sent rout.